What are you seeing in terms of Wall Street? Because it's looking fairly constructive over the last couple of sessions, but do you think there's more of a bounce coming here?
It does look as though we are going to get that bounce. So as we've seen over the last couple of weeks, or even a little bit longer, commodity prices generally across the board have come back. Expectations for inflation have come back a little bit. Those long-term bond yields have reacted by easing back from those peaks that we saw in mid-June. So share markets are feeling a little bit more positive at the moment. So it does look like we are going to get a bounce, at least for the short term.
Yeah, okay. Well, we'll try and get the chart up on the screen just to go through the technicals at the moment. And here we are. We just spoke then of the kind of bit of a bounce that we have seen so far. What kind of levels are you looking at there? Because clearly we are still seeing a pattern of lower highs and lower lows. What's the price signals telling you?
Yeah, you're right, Kyle. We still have those lower highs, lower lows. So, let's not make a mistake. We've still got a downtrend here.
Yeah.
And I think that, markets will struggle to have a meaningful rally whilst we still have interest rate rises. So generally, unless we get a bit of a capitulation because of recessionary concerns and central banks start to pivot into a different direction, unless we see that, I think there's still risk to the downside. But we do have potential for relief rallies along the way. And we were talking about this chart 2 weeks ago. So what we noticed at the time was, we did break support around 4,200 in May, came back up to retest it, and then it got sold off sharply. So after that sharp sell-off, we had a bit of a bounce, and we were talking a couple of weeks ago of what we needed to see was at least a higher low to give us that sort of counter trend rally. So I was talking about the prospect of seeing something similar to what we got back in March, where markets had a bit of a bounce in February, came back to give us a little higher low, and that gave the S&P 500 and the Aussie market in March a tradable bounce. So as we could see in March, the bounce there was big enough that you could trade. The bounce that we saw in May wasn't big enough to trade, in my opinion. It was too brief. But now we do have a higher low, so we could see start of July there, a higher low on the S&P 500. A lot of white candles, meaning that it's closing in the higher part of the day. Good buying support down low. At the moment, the market is at that, it is retesting that peak from the end of June there. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do perhaps get a consolidation day or two by heading sideways. But ultimately, it does look like we have a bounce on the way, and I think we're going to try to retest those levels back up near 4,200 again.